This is your last call for My Wife the Dietitian. The show is just about to start.
Come on, let's go. Hurry up.
I'm trying. I can't get my shoe on.
Welcome to My Wife the Dietitian, a fun weekly podcast about nutrition and healthy lifestyle. I'm Rob, and together with my wife Sandra, we invite you to join us on this informative and entertaining journey through the complex world of healthy eating.
Join us each week as we strive to help you with transforming your overall health and relationship with food through up-to-date, evidence-based nutrition information. Today, we are joined by Dr. Karrie Heneman, PhD in nutrition. Her passion and specialty is eating together and family meals.
So, kids who eat regular family meals are less likely to be depressed. They tend to experience less anxiety. They are more confident, and they tend to do better in school. So, that alone to me is enough evidence to try and make family meals happen.
Join us for this fun and lively discussion about an important message around eating together.
Welcome to My Wife the Dietitian. Hello, Sandra.
Hey, Rob.
How's it going?
Good.
Are you enjoying the sunny weather that's finally upon us?
Oh, I can't wait. We are in need. I love April showers bring May flowers, but this has been a bit much.
Yeah. It's kind of funny that it's like rain, and then it's like summer.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, we what do we have today? Special guest from California of all places.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're interviewing Dr. Karrie Heneman, PhD in nutrition. Her website, Family Meals First.
Awesome.
And we talk all about the importance of eating together.
Yes. Yeah, we did this interview last week with Karrie. She's a lot of fun. So this should be a fun one for everyone to listen to. So shall we get to it?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go track Karrie down and we'll have a little chat.
Karrie, hi. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, my name is Karrie Heneman. I live in the East Bay of Northern California, about 30 miles out of San Francisco.
Nice.
I am a mom of 4, and I have my PhD in nutrition.
Wow.
All around. That's awesome to hear. Holy, 4 kids and a PhD. How did you ever do that?
Thank you. Sometimes I think if you stick around long enough, they give you a degree. But I was fortunate enough to do my graduate work before we started our family. So
Smart. Yeah.
My husband and I were married in 2007, and I finished my PhD in 2004, and then did a postdoc after that in nutrition education. So I've been working in the field for a long time, and then had 4 kids on my own. And I kind of realized that not only did I have the academic knowledge, but once I had kids of my own, that I actually had like the practical knowledge as well. To tell you a little bit story about myself, when I was in graduate school, I used to work for what was then the food stamps program. And I educated moms and pregnant women about how to feed themselves and their families. And I used to tell them all of these like ridiculous things, like teaching them how to break apart a chicken from scratch and make homemade chicken soup, and then, use all the vegetables from scratch and so on and so forth. And now only to realize that like, if there was an extra 40 hours in a week, possibly I could do that. But the reality there's only so many minutes. So
that's right. Now that you have 4 kids and you realize like how like it's just life is so busy and everybody's doing like their extracurricular stuff and school, and you're working, and to like make food from scratch, it seems harder these days. But is that what you mean? Like it was when you were telling these, like guiding your clients, you didn't have the practical experience at that point.
Exactly. I feel like at the beginning of my career, I really was kind of pushing to everything had to be perfect, right? You wanted to have all organic, all homemade food for your family, and that would be the best for everybody. And now I realize that not only is it not possible for people financially, but also just time-wise, right? And I now really feel like it is most important to eat together at home as often as possible. And if you need to take some other shortcuts to make that happen, which I think many of us do, that's okay. It's more about getting together as a family and spending time together.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's so many messages through social media that are stressing, the organic, or you have to eat this or don't eat that. And it's like you're just saying, you're kind of missing the real message of, eating together is as healthy as what you're eating, right?
Yes, I completely agree. I mean, I think there's really only so many priorities you can have in life, right? Especially once you start working and having kids and doing all those things. And I truly believe that family meals should always be a priority for families. That should be in those top couple things that you make a priority, because I think the benefits are just so numerous that the well-being of your family will just increase if you can make that a priority.
Well, and the
Yes. Oh,
stress,
that's
the stress that is caused too from not following, like, oh, I did get all my carbs today, and I'm supposed to eat this, and I'm supposed to eat that, and you're stressing out about all these rules, right? And
Right.
then your mental health is declining because of that. So,
Right.
you got to think of that as well.
And then you just give up too, which I think is so sad. I mean, I see so many people not only give up about family meals, but also about their own diet, right? That, if I can't eat a keto diet, then should just eat whatever I want, right? Because it doesn't matter anyways. And, it's bad information. It really is.
yeah,
Yeah,
totally. Oh my
it's
gosh.
overwhelming.
Yes,
Yeah.
it really is, especially as a parent, right? When you just want to do best by your kids. And so when you're hearing this inaccurate information all the time, it is completely overwhelming and discouraging.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, like we are all so busy. And so you mentioned that there are benefits of eating meals together. What are some of those benefits?
So kids who eat regular family meals are less likely to be depressed. They tend to experience less anxiety. They are more confident, and they tend to do better in school. So, I mean, that alone to me is enough evidence to try and make family meals happen.
Oh, for sure. And is it specifically with family, or is it just eating with other people in general?
Well, so I always use family to me as a very loose term. So yes, you could definitely say it is eating with other people in general, right? It's
Right.
a family unit does not have an exact definition.
Okay. It's more about like eating with another person versus eating alone.
Eating with another person, eating with your next door neighbor, eating with your grandparents, eating with your caregiver, whoever that may be, eating with your siblings, right? Sometimes parents may be at work during a mealtime. And family meals also, I think it's an important message to send that family meals don't have to occur at dinner, right? They can occur at lunch, they can occur at breakfast, they could be brunch, they can happen once a week, they can happen every night, right? There's all sorts of different ways that family meals can happen. I just
Yeah.
think the more often that they can happen, the better.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's one of those things you don't want to put rules around again, right? Because then it's like, oh, I
Yes.
can't, I'm not doing it right. So
Yep.
just as often as possible with whoever's available.
Exactly. Exactly. And sometimes I find in my own life with four kids, especially we now have a teenager who is soon to drive. I try and schedule them in our calendar so then it's on there and everybody knows that we're having a family meal together. That's one strategy. Maybe that doesn't work for you. Maybe you just say every Sunday at 5, whatever. Again, there's no rule book for having family meals. It's just about getting together as a group of people and sharing food together.
Yeah, whatever your family, whatever works for your family.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And there's something to be said about like just kids kind of growing up, learning kind of the family customs. They're learning they
Yes.
getting the connectedness of the other family members. They are
Yep.
getting some value in terms of learning like kind of family rituals,
Yes.
just helping with their own identity, like where they came
Mhm.
from and like who they are. I mean, that's like family meals are more than just eating.
Yes, I could not agree with you more. Family meals also open the door for conversation. I
Yes.
think, again, going back to teenagers, sometimes I also am a mom of three boys. I have one girl and three boys. My teenager now and my three boys just are not as chatty and talkative. And having food as a distraction when we sit down together opens the door for some really great conversations that we wouldn't have otherwise. And again, I also think if you can have a family meal at home, there's more opportunities to connect than it would be in a restaurant or out somewhere
Right.
else. But
That's
again,
true.
if that's the only way that it's going to work for your family, that's okay too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there is something to be said about just in terms of especially if there's sensitive topics or issues that come up.
Yes.
It's kind of nice to have the privacy of your home and just the family members that are involved talking about
Mhm.
it.
Yes, yes, because I mean, your kids want to know about your childhood and where you came from, but those conversations are not always easy to start, right? So it gives kids an opportunity to kind of wander down a rabbit hole, right? There's the space and time that they need to get those important questions out.
And just because
Absolutely.
the kids aren't contributing to the conversation doesn't mean they're not getting something from listening to the parents having a conversation.
That is such an
There's
important point.
lots of
Yep.
times our kids that we'll kind of notice after it's like, oh, they did hear that, because we can tell from their behavior or something they say later on that they were listening and they did sort of pick up, but they just didn't feel like, contributing vocally. So
I
it's
Yes.
not a
think
waste.
kids are sponges. Like that's, they
Total
just, they're,
sponges.
yeah. And they're
Yes.
looking to role models. Like they're looking at the adults as role models. And I mean, you see generational, like how people grow up and, who they're learning from. And it makes a difference. Like having meals together. I totally agree. I think it's such an important factor in child development.
Yes. And I think it is also important to add that for the most successful family meal, I think it's important to turn off all distractions. So, no TVs blaring in the background. If you want to have music, it should be kind of quiet music that, maybe something classical, and no phones or iPads or other things. It really, you want to create a welcoming space. And sometimes that welcoming space just means a little bit of silence together, right? And that's okay.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's a hard one with,
Yes.
nowadays where everyone has a phone and everything happens through their phone. Like everyone's life is on their phone. It's hard to sort of pack that away for half an hour while you eat. Everyone's kind of like, what do I do now? I don't have my phone to entertain me.
Yep.
And we've lost that art of communicating with each other, like face to face and around a table, so it's good to try to put those distractions away, like you say, and get back to the basics of having a real conversation with real people.
I just remembered my dad, who's 86 now, he has a little sign on the wall. It says, "Oh, do you want to come over? So I'm having people over to all stare at their phones together."
Yeah.
Yes, it's unfortunately too true, right?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can laugh, but really, like it's pretty sad, and it's like, I mean, people
Yes.
are losing their social skills because it's the phone and other devices are just taking attention, and we're not
Mhm.
like connecting on a fit like a social level.
Yeah, and I mean, and again, it may be painful at first, but even if you set a timer for 15 or 20 minutes and just say, for the next 20 minutes, we're not going to have any devices on, right? I mean, I think in the grand scheme of life, 20 minutes you can be off your device and know that nothing totally major you're gonna miss in that time period, right? And the value of having a conversation and connecting with other people is gonna be so great.
It's like a form
Yeah.
of therapy, right?
Yes, it
It's like
is.
it's like a rehab.
Yes,
I think kids though, kids might feel like it's punishment. Oh, I have to put my phone away, but it's not punishment. It's like just like talk to your family and let's be here together. And we have to put our phones away too as parents
yes,
because we're the role
yes.
models. And if we have our phones going, then it's give and take. Like all of us have to do this together.
Absolutely. I mean, it comes back to like you were saying before with role modeling, right? That if we want our kids to perform a certain way, then we need to model that for them.
Yeah.
And I think also, in all fairness to your kids too, you can say, hey, dinner's going to start in 15 minutes or lunch or breakfast, whatever meal it is. And so if you want to let your friends know that you're going to be offline for the next half an hour, why don't you take the time to do so now? Something like that can help increase buy-in from your kids.
Yeah, true.
Great
That's
idea.
kind of giving them a warning.
Yes, yes. So that way, I know that sometimes the pressure to be on social media or some other things, if you don't respond right away, people might be frustrated with you. So I think that way, if you just kind of clear the air beforehand and say, hey, for the next however many minutes, I'm going to be occupied, but then I'll look forward to catching up with you afterward. That way, I think you're meeting your kids halfway. You're telling them that you kind of understand where they're coming from, but that this is really a priority for you. So you want to make it work for everybody.
Yeah, and everyone should understand. I mean, you know,
Yes,
we all have a family of one sort that we're dealing with. So everyone should understand that concept, right? Of it's family time
absolutely.
and sorry, I need to put my phone down.
Yep. And I think that's just healthy in general, right? That's a life skill outside of family meals that kids, I think, are missing sometimes today.
Oh, for sure. I just how do I entertain myself without
Hmm.
my device?
Yeah, and I think I think it is like almost a what is it? Like a endangered species, the family meal, because as generations go along, people are, on their own part of the house, in front of the
Yes.
TV, on their computer, on their phone, and just like grab the meal and take it to their own place, or make their own meal. And as kids grow up and they're more independent, but it's, as you said, it's like creating that time and space and a plan with your family. Okay, we're doing a family meal on Sunday night, or we're going to do a breakfast together, or whatever it is in your
Hmm.
week that works for your family. I think that is a way to kind of prioritize it and, use the dining room table a little more than just as a storage space for the newspaper and other things.
Yes. And you also create that space for your child that, then the next time when they are feeling overwhelmed, you have now given them the tools to be able to say, hey, friends, I'm going to be off technology for the next half hour for whatever reason. Right. And they don't need to know why, but maybe you're feeling sad or you're just feeling anxious or overwhelmed. You're giving them those tools so they'll know how to deal with future situations as well.
Yeah, great call there.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So, bringing it back to nutrition, is there
Mhm.
evidence that suggests that when families eat together, that maybe they're eating healthier foods?
Yes, kids who eat family meals are more likely to eat more fruits, more likely to eat more vegetables, which in turn enhances their vitamins and mineral intake. So that's just another reason. I think sometimes coming up with a family meal idea, like we were talking about before, can be overwhelming. So I have a really simple formula in my house that I have been using since my kids were babies. For breakfast, I always serve a fruit and a main dish. For lunch, I always do a fruit and a vegetable and a main dish. And for dinner, I always do a fruit and vegetable and a main dish. The
Love
beauty
it.
of this plan is that it's super simple. And it also means that I'm offering my kids fruits and vegetables 5 times a day. It doesn't mean that they're eating those fruits and vegetables 5 times a
Yeah,
Yeah.
day,
exactly.
No,
but
it's
it
just
does
offered.
mean
Yeah.
exactly. It is offered 5 times a day. So it's out there. So that's another thing. If you're sitting down together, your kids are more likely to eat what you're eating and you're more likely to put some thought into the meal. I mean, I know when my kids just run into the pantry, and I'm super conscious about what I keep in my pantry, but when they run into the pantry, they're more likely to grab sometimes foods like, a chocolate bar or, make a sandwich with, maybe some peanut butter and some jelly, right? That not sitting down and having, a main dish, a fruit and a vegetable is well planned out.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, because when you just like, come into the kitchen and you grab a bag of chips, or you grab some
Yes.
popcorn, or you just grab a snack almost, or cheese and crackers, and you're kind of just eating mindlessly, and
Mhm.
it's a different thing than eating a meal that's prepared, that actually has some vegetables in there and has fruit, and the meats and the whole grain, or
Yeah.
whatever your plate might look like. It's just important because you're going to get more whole, minimally processed foods if you're eating a family meal together more often.
Yes. And I think it's an important caveat is that when I say a main dish of fruit and vegetable, again, I'm not talking about fancy. A frozen vegetable is completely fine. One of my kids' favorite vegetables is frozen carrots and peas. I just put them in the microwave. It takes me, I think, 30 seconds of prep. I buy frozen vegetables when they're on sale and keep them in my freezer. And it serves them all a really nutritious meal. And
Yes.
fruits can be, unsweetened applesauce. It can be sliced bananas, a cut up apple, right? It doesn't have to be a gourmet fruit salad. So, really, a simple meal. It's more about getting together and serving something that makes you feel good.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's great.
yes. And kids learn, like, this is food that we have in our house. And this
Yes.
house is who I am. So it kind of,
Yep.
it's part of their identity. They learn their preferences. They learn what they like, what they don't like, but they also learn that this is normal. And so they
Yes.
grow up with some sense of of what are healthy foods. And I think
Mhm.
that's really important. Like it's such a huge piece of the puzzle in terms of
Yes.
health in the long term. The eating meals together and then just learning, the culture of the family. And if you do eat together, then you're more likely to eat, more vegetables and fruits and whole grains. And so all these things, they go together
Yes.
for child development and for, family health.
Yes. And I think that touches on another important point, that when you are preparing these meals, get your kids in the kitchen or get them to the grocery store with you, or have them sit down online and help you pick out the foods that are being delivered during the week. Kids that learn at a young age how to prepare fresh fruits and vegetables and healthy food are set up to be healthy eaters for the rest of their lives.
You're giving me goosebumps.
Yep.
You're preaching to the oh yes, this is totally.
Right?
I so agree.
I mean,
Yes.
and I get it. I know sometimes having a toddler in the kitchen with you, right? It's just easier to do it yourself. That sometimes my teenagers are the same way. They just purposely want to do everything as slow or as messy as possible, so they don't get asked. But stick with it, because I am now seeing, my oldest is 15. So, right, she sometimes will have practices or school related events that cross over meals. So she'll come home and, her favorite snack right now is a bean burrito, right? So she grabs a whole wheat tortilla, she heats up some refried beans and makes a quick burrito. And, I'm so happy that it's such a simple meal, but that's a skill that she now has for when she's in college, when she's living on her own, to be able to, quickly look at the pantry and pull together a nutritious meal when she's hungry.
Yes. And it's a skill, like you said, like it's a skill that actually sets you up for a healthier future. When
Mm-hmm.
you're able to make those decisions about what food I like, and actually putting the refried beans on a tortilla and cooking it like that, it sounds so simple, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just so important though, because doing that is setting her up for a successful, healthier future, I think.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. When I was in college, I remember going to the grocery store and just not even know what to buy, right? I mean, like we said, it seems like such a simple combination, refried beans and a tortilla, right? But those ingredients also have to be in your kitchen, because when you're hungry, right, it's always going to be at some random time. It's not going to be, a well planned out, oh, well, I have time to go to the grocery store and get those ingredients and then I can come home, right? It's almost always like, I am hungry now. So what do I have? Right?
Exactly.
So having that in your arsenal, having a couple meals. Another thing is I always like to keep whole wheat pasta and jarred pasta sauce in the pantry, which is another like super easy. And, if you want to get really fancy, you can throw in some of those frozen vegetables that I've got in my freezer, right? So these types of skills are something that kids need to be taught. I mean, I think we kind of take it for granted as adults, especially after, we've been making so many family meals. But if your kids aren't in the kitchen, they don't know how to do that, right? They sit down and the meal's just there for them and they don't really think about it. I mean, I know personally when my husband drives us somewhere and we just get there, I don't really know how to get there, right?
Exactly.
Good point, right?
My kids, I'm looking at the scenery, aside from the fact that I could get lost in a box, but it's kind of the same thing in the kitchen, right? If kids don't experience how to put together a meal, how to find a recipe and go grocery shopping for those ingredients and put it together, those types of things, how to read a recipe, right? They won't have those life skills later on. And so then they'll be forced to rely on things like fast food or packaged food for their food, right? And that's really going to have, over a long term, detrimental effects on their health.
Do you know what worked in our house? We tried the food box, like I think it was HelloFresh. I don't know if you guys have that in California, but the food delivery, right? And they come with everything, with the recipe, and I think our daughter actually ordered it, so she even took that initiative, right? Chose the meals that we get, and then we each were responsible for cooking one of them. So they went through the whole process of unwrapping it, reading the recipe, figuring out where everything in the kitchen was, because that's part of cooking too, is what utensils to use, where are the measuring cups, how do they work, what heat to use on the stove. And they went through the whole process and they made some really good stuff. And now, like, our kids we've always encouraged them to be independent in the kitchen and pack their own lunches. When they were like 6 years old, I think they were packing their own lunches for school, because, teach them early, right? But the whole process of cooking, they cook some amazing stuff, they'll make dinner for us now, like not the HelloFresh stuff anymore, but just they'll go into the kitchen and they'll make some really amazing stuff. And we're like, holy smokes, how did you get, they just figure it out. They're creative. They're,
Yes.
none of us really like to follow recipes. We're all pretty independent how we cook, and that's a good skill too, but it's building confidence in knowing that I can do this, I can try this, it's going to work. And you're not going to get those skills and that confidence if you don't make that first step and try in the first place. So it's good to encourage it.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, home ec used to be part of your education, right? In middle or high school, you would learn those basic skills, but now it's gotten so competitive to get into university, to college, that kids aren't experiencing those home ec skills in a school setting. So
it's an
even
option
more
now, right? Yeah.
To take it at home, to learn those skills at home. And in all honesty, I feel like possibly even better, right? Because you're putting your cultural spin on it as well, right?
Totally.
Maybe you're an amazing dumpling cooker, or maybe you make a great lasagna, those types of things that you can pass down. And they help kids have a sense of identity. Like, really, my grandmother used to make this recipe, or my great-great-great-grandmother, right? Those types of things that make kids feel like they belong and that they have a purpose, and have just so many people that care for them and are rooting for them. That's another important thing that they need to know.
Yeah,
Yes,
I agree.
Yes. It's funny because I was thinking of the grocery tours I do with the elementary school groups. Sometimes we go to the grocery store for an hour and talk all about the different, fruits and vegetables and whole grains and reading labels. And I always say that, you'll be the friend everyone wants if you know how to cook some basic food. Because, as you get older and you have roommates and, you're doing things as, with your friends. And if you can cook them a meal, wow, everyone wants to be your friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean, we all can think of a time when we were so hungry, right? And we just wanted something that was home cooked, right?
Yeah.
Every time after traveling or whatever, it's just nice to enjoy something and to be able to have something prepared how you want it prepared, right? That having that skill is just, it's an important life skill. And I think it just sets up kids for a healthier life in general if they know how to move around in the kitchen.
Absolutely. And have confidence, and just,
Yes.
It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a really fancy recipe. It just to have confidence in knowing, what to do with a knife and how to, put something in the microwave even, or in the pot on the stove or whatever, open the, the oven and cook something, like even a frozen pizza, add some veggies on top and you make it your own. And, there's just
Make a
so
salad
many
on the side. Yeah, so many simple
Exactly.
things.
Exactly. And yeah, I think it's just so critical in terms of your, just healthy child development and
Yes.
for a healthy future too, just because you're going to eat healthier if you know some basics of kitchen skills.
For sure.
So we have a question that we ask all of our guests, and it's kind of actually with this topic, it really fits. So, what is your favorite dish that you might bring to a potluck or family gathering if you're going to be going to an extended family gathering? What would you bring?
I love to make Instant Pot refried beans. All of my kids love it. They love making tacos because they can all make tacos their own way. My youngest pretty much does a tortilla with just a lot of cheese on it, with a side of cheese.
Classic.
They all enjoy it in their own way. And it's so easy and so cost effective. I just dump everything into my Instant Pot and walk away and come back a couple hours later and mash it up. And it's something that everybody can enjoy.
And what do you use in that, Karrie?
So I use dried pinto beans that I soak ahead of time. But if I'm running short on time, I just boil some water and soak them while I'm prepping some other things for the meal, and then throw those beans in the Instant Pot with some vegetable broth, an onion and some garlic, and some taco seasoning that I just make myself. So some paprika and cumin and chili powder, garlic powder, a little bit of salt and a little bit of onion powder. So super easy. And I just set that on the Instant Pot for 45 minutes. And we have homemade refried beans. And it makes enough for at least 2 meals for my family of 6. So sometimes even extra to freeze away for another meal. So super easy, super way to bring a lot of food if you're trying to feed a crowd. And like I said, I feel like there's something magical about burritos and tacos that people love, right? Because they can customize it so easily. If you have a base like that, then they can add their lettuce or tomatoes or salsa or jalapenos, cheese, whatever, right? That there's something for everybody, meat eaters, vegetarians, vegans.
Yeah.
everyone is happy. And it's so nutritious as well and so affordable.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I would love that. You know what I would really love?
Hmm.
I love to eat and I love variety. And
Yes.
you talking about burritos and all that, I would love like, and maybe this place exists, I just haven't found it yet, but like a burrito bar that's like a salad bar where like you get
Yes.
to make, you have all the toppings and you get to just, and an all you can eat because I like to eat a lot. So like,
I think we're like kindred souls.
right? I got to come and visit because I bet there's a place like that in California, right? Because there isn't
I
up here, but
Do you have
there
Chipotle
should
by
be.
you? I feel like
Is
that
that
might
a
be the
restaurant?
closest.
Like,
Restaurant? No, I don't think we have that, Rob.
Okay.
no,
But I
we're
like
gonna have
it.
to
I
do a
think it's
road trip.
yes.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
there for it.
A burrito inspired road trip.
I
Yeah.
think some of my kids would be in on that as well. So.
You know what's great about that though? I mean, if you think about it, it's giving people the options to choose the things they like. And that
Yes.
especially for kids when they're learning what they like and what they don't like, they need to be exposed to those opportunities where they can pick the things, you know, they can try
Yes.
something and they're not just like given a plate of food and told to eat it. You know, they're given some options and they can try different things and learn what they like and what they don't like and experiment. I
Yes.
think that's a really important part of teaching the kids how to eat, and you know what I
You
mean?
have hit on another really important topic which picky eating or particular eaters, family meals are another great way to encourage kids to explore in the kitchen in a place where they can feel safe. And you can present food that others are going to eat if you present things family style, right? And they can maybe choose to put a little bit on their plate, and maybe that's enough for the night, or have a little nibble, or sometimes even have a little nibble off your plate, right? Because that
Oh yeah.
is another way. Sometimes kids feel better if it's not actually on their plate, it's someone
Right.
else's plate. So, family meals and meals that kids prepare, another great way to get particular eaters to explore is to say, hey, let's sit down together and look at, even preschoolers. You can say, let's look at some pictures of some meals, and you can point to a meal that looks like something that you would want to try, and of course, self-select those meals. So give them choices that are nutritious options, and give them the power, right? Because a lot of times, picky eating, and not always, but a lot of times, particular eaters, it's about control, right? They want to
Oh, for
have
sure.
control. And especially for young kids, they don't have a lot of control in their lives. So the more autonomy, the more ownership that you can give to them over their meals and what they're eating, the more likely they are to try it. And I think it also teaches them, I want my kids to know that they should respect themselves and they should respect their bodies and put things into their body that makes them feel good, right? So if you are forcing your kid to eat something that they don't want to, that's kind of a negative association with food, right? And that's something that we don't want them to have. So if you can
Totally.
teach them autonomy, let them control what they're putting in their body, as long as you're giving them healthy choices to choose from, then it's a win-win all around.
Absolutely. There's another thing I was going to mention earlier too when we were talking about including fruit. Something we used to do with our kids when they were quite a bit younger. I made what was called banana shooters because it sounded fun and it was kind of a joke for the adults,
I
right?
love it.
Hey kids, you want some banana shooters? And what they were, I'd cut up a banana in like little round slices, and then I'd put a little bit of peanut butter and a raisin and a chocolate chip, and all on a
Perfect.
plate. It's like, I don't know, 12 little pieces of banana. And I'd bring
Yep.
them out and they'd be gone in seconds because it's like,
Right.
it looks like fun and it's got chocolate on it, which they love, but
Yes.
they're getting all those other things too, which are healthy, right? Versus just
Mhm.
giving them a plate full of banana, which they probably wouldn't eat. And
Yes.
it got to be fun when the kids would bring friends home and the friends would say, can we have banana shooters? I heard they're really good. And I'm like, this is like
Yes.
legendary now. This is awesome. So,
Yep.
like making food fun is another part of, encouraging kids to eat things and try new things. And, it wasn't a lot of extra work for me. And it, it was fun watching their reaction. And yeah, so just another tip there.
Yeah, I love that. I think there's so many ways you can, give your kids choices to make a salad. You can take them to the grocery store. I love to do this with my kids on days when I'm taking them to the grocery store with me. I set them loose in the produce section and I tell them they each have to pick, one fruit and one vegetable. And that they're going to eat during the week. And once they do that, then they can go and pick something that's kind of on our sometimes food list, like granola bars or cereal or crackers or something from the rest of the store. And they love that. They look forward to that, right? Because they get to kind of have a little bit of control in the kitchen, and
Totally.
Yes.
Again,
love
I
it.
give them parameters on the types of, extra thing that they can purchase, but still, right, that a little bit of autonomy and a little bit of fun, it makes kids feel more in control. And in all honesty, as an adult, I want to be in control too. So
Yeah.
you
Totally.
can't really blame them, right?
Yeah.
You know what else you can do? You've got a child that's driving now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Almost, maybe. Yeah.
6 months, we're counting down the days.
Oh, okay. Perfect. So when our kids started driving, we told them to go grocery shopping, but we didn't give
Love
them
it.
a list. We said, you go buy what you think we need and what you think is healthy and whatever stuff you want, like just complete freedom. It was
Yes.
amazing what they brought home in a good way. I mean,
Yes.
it's like, wow, you give them that responsibility, they actually really shine. And because, you think, oh, they're just going to buy a bunch of candy and junk food. But it was the opposite. They were buying things that were well thought out. And yeah, it was
Mm-hmm.
impressive. And they liked that responsibility, the independence of
Yes.
actually going to the store, driving the car, and
And
which
being
is
able to do
great
something
because,
for somebody
yeah,
else too, right? They're providing food for their family, right? I mean, that also fills you up, right?
That's
exactly.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just contributing as like a family member and just,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah. I love
Yeah.
it.
So that's something you have to look forward to, Carrie.
I can't wait.
That's right. Oh, it's so handy. It's so nice. Like, oh, honey, we're making this for dinner. Could you run out to the store and grab some milk or whatever the recipe calls for, right? So it's great.
Yes. I mean, even our 7-year-old, last night we, were busy with sports for the 4 kids and we came home a little bit on the late side and we were putting some things together to dinner. And my 7-year-old came in and said, I really want, his favorite sandwich is cream cheese and jelly sandwich. And I said, okay,
Yummy.
buds, but I'm making all these other things. I don't know that I'll have time to make you something separate. He went and he got the whole wheat bread out of the pantry and got his little butter knife and went
Love
ahead and made his own sandwich. And I just thought, you know what? That's awesome. Now here's your fruit and vegetable and you've got your meal.
Totally.
Johnny.
Oh,
It's
that's so good.
little things like that, right? That, and that it ended up helping me as well, right? I was tired. I was hungry. I didn't want to make an extra meal, but the fact that he could take some ownership and make himself some food was fantastic.
Oh,
That's
totally.
great.
And his own, like, he conquered that skill. Like he does it. He did it.
Yes.
So now he knows he could do it in the future. I mean, that's really, when parents want to pamper their kids or like, oh, I'm going
Yes.
to, feed them and I'm in charge of everything. Well, that's not helping the kids. What
Right.
helps the kids is when they actually can do those roles and can do those skills because then they build confidence and they make mistakes. Like, oh, I
Yes.
put way too much jelly on and it's like squishing out all over, or, like, so natural
Yes, they do.
consequences, like they figure it out. And it's really important for them to learn those basic skills. And I love that he's 7 and he did it himself. Wow.
I mean,
Yeah,
especially in a
that's
safe
great.
environment, like you were saying, I think all those skills that kids can have while they're still in your house are so much better for them too, because then when they do make a mistake, right, we're fortunately just beyond the squished out jelly phase. But
Yes.
during that
Mhm.
phase, we'd have to problem solve because one time he got jelly on his favorite shirt, right? And that was, kind of a crisis. And so we talked about it. And of course we cleaned him up. But, it just, when you're 6 and 7, those types of things are a big deal, right? So like, again, that's another skill, life skill that kids are learning to deal with adversity, to problem solve, to think about things ahead of time, to plan, all of that can be learned in the kitchen. Budgeting, you were saying you send your kids to the grocery store, right? That's another, here you have $100. You need to, make meals for 2 days or whatever. In this
Perfect.
day and age,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it doesn't go, $100 doesn't go as far as we would like it to, but
No.
just so many opportunities for kids. And again, it all comes back to family meals. Creating that space and that regularity gives your kids the opportunity to learn these life skills and the confidence and also just the sense of love and family togetherness that gives them
Yes.
the ability to be more confident in everything that they do.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. And everything, all the points that you made are just totally our own philosophy here with our family and what, with clients and the pregnancy groups that I do and helping moms. It's all the same message. Like I think it's so important and I don't think we hear about it enough. So I think
Yes.
it's so good that we talked to you today. And I'm just wondering if there's any final like takeaway messages that you might have for the listeners.
I mean, my takeaway message is always to start. Start now, start wherever you can, and just make a family meal happen this week, right? Pick a time, whatever time it is, put together something super easy and sit down together and start.
Yes.
Yep. You got to take that first step and maybe make it something special that everyone likes, so they're excited about it and they're looking forward to it. And, whatever meal your family is, all enjoys.
Yes, something that's easy for you to make.
Yeah, that would be a plus. So, yeah. How can people get in touch with you, Karrie, or find out more about you? You have Instagram, I think, right? Are you on social media anywhere else, or do you have a website or anything people can reach you at?
Yeah, so I am on Instagram at Family Meals First.
Okay.
And then I also have my own website, www.familymealsfirst.com.
Great.
And so you can check out those. And I meet together with people and provide one-on-one nutrition consultations. So I help people troubleshoot all of their questions that are preventing them from eating well.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I think that preventative, like proactive, just eating meals together, that whole behavior can really just help prevent issues down the line, like the picky eating and the eating disorders and just family disconnection and all that, like all those kind of negative things that happen in the future might be able to be prevented with eating family meals more often.
Even things like heart disease, chronic illness, right? Those types of things often can be either delayed or prevented through healthy eating, right? Which all, again, ties back to eating homemade meals together.
Love
Absolutely.
it. Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is great. This has just made my whole week. This is such an important issue. And I'm so happy that we were able to connect with you today, because your expertise is just, it shines through in your passion with your message.
Thank you. It's been an honor to get to talk with you today.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us, Karrie. Really appreciate it. We'll talk again soon.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was fun, eh?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Wow, there's so much information. And, I don't think people think about it enough, that how important it is to just eat with another person.
Yeah, I think people just are like, oh, yeah, that message.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
I think you're right.
But you don't think of why it's important.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that Karrie sort of spelled all that out for us today, because it is important to know this stuff and the effects that it has on not just kids, but adults, anybody really. It's good to get back into that eating with another human being and having conversation and engaging with another person that way, instead of just sitting in front of your computer or on your phone or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more about being social and talking, and it's the whole experience, and not just the, nutrition or food is fuel for my body and I need exactly this and that and all these vitamins and minerals and fiber. And it's like, okay, enjoy the experience and savor your meal and eat with others.
Yeah, it is an experience, and it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think prioritizing that at least a few times a week, to just sit with others and eat with others and make a meal at home, is so important.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And Karrie, we're totally going to crash one of your family events, because after listening to the episode, I realized that burrito bar I want to go to is actually like at your house.
Yeah.
You make all that stuff. So we're totally going to come and crash your house someday and have some of your awesome burritos.
Woohoo, road trip.
It sounds pretty amazing.
I'd love to go down there. That's a great idea.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed today's episode. I think it's a pretty important message, and hopefully everyone got that message.
And please check her website out.
Yeah, familymealsfirst.com is her website. She's got a great Instagram page too, with tons of really fun, just easy messages, and she's on there quite a bit. I've been following that a bit lately, so check that out. And if you want, you can stroll on over to our page as well. We're on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, and our website. We'll have some updates on there as well.
And Karrie wrote a great article, a blog article with pictures in there.
Yeah, so check that out. That's on mywifethedietitian.com. And you can always email us your questions if you have any, mywifetherd@gmail.com. And don't forget to rate and review the show. That really helps us every week. And we love hearing your comments. We love seeing what you think and your ideas for the show, if you have any. It's all really helpful for pushing everything forward for us. So much appreciated if you're able to do that.
Yeah, we'd love to hear how you eat your meals together, if it's like once in a while or if it's a regular routine, if you make a habit of having family meals together once or twice a week, or if it's just not even on the radar, because, that's pretty common. And I think this is an important episode for everybody to listen to.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Have a good week and go eat with someone.
Do you want to go have breakfast?
I do.
Okay.
I'm going to go eat with my wife, the dietitian.
Sounds good. Have a good week, everyone.
All right. Ciao. Thanks for joining us today on My Wife, the Dietitian. If you like what you heard, don't be shy. Leave us a comment or review, and be sure to share our podcast with your friends. If you'd like to hear more, hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media pages for updates, episode trailers, and other odds and ends. For more info and links on what we discussed on today's episode, check the show notes. We'll be back next week with another informative and fun-filled episode.